Good morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good today, Sunday. I'm sure you all are enjoying your Sunday, isn't it? With this, dear friends, I have got two special topics for you guys. One is pertaining to healthcare system, which is very important for your examination. And the second one is related with bureaucracy, which is one of the most important topic. We'll go through both these topics in detail. But before that, what do you understand from this statement by Benjamin Franklin? Well done is better than well said. Do let me know what do you make of this statement. Stick your views in the comment section of this video. I am eagerly waiting for your reply on this thing. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ provides pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams, as you can see on your screen. To find out more about it, check out StudyIQ.com. You can give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen, just in case if you have any question or queries. You can get in touch with me via Facebook or Twitter handle. Don't forget to hit the like button and do share this lecture with other people as well. I am on Instagram too. I am new to this Instagram, right? So finally I am on Instagram now. I will share some good things with you guys on Instagram. Anyways, let's move on to this important article. Healthcare maturing in the middle of the last century. The present healthcare system is actually sick care system, isn't it? If you sit down and think, then you realize that even today we have not developed this culture, isn't it, in our country, that we seek professional medical care only when we fall ill. Apart from that, we don't care about it, isn't it? And it's all right as well, but we should do something about it on a regular basis. Are we eating right? Are we sleeping right? Are we doing a little bit of workout? I'm not saying that you should spend 2-3 hours in the gym, or it's not even necessary that you have to go to gym. But at least we can do a little bit of physical exercise, doing cycling for a bit, going out for a walk. You can also do some household chores and things like that. Washing, cleaning, all these things will require a bit of physical activity. And it is very important, right? It is not waste of time at all. If you don't do any sort of physical activity, then remember that your mental capacity as well will be bit down compared to the person who is doing a little bit of physical exercise on regular basis. Right, enough has been said by Dr. Prashant. Now, I'm not a doctor, just kidding. But the thing is, if we look at our healthcare system, then what we find is that we have got at present latest technologies. We have got some incredible advances in the treatment as well. But the nature of delivery has remained much of the same. That means this latest technology, with latest treatment methods, what we are doing even today is we are just looking after sick people. Now, of course, it is a duty of medical system to look after sick people, but our focus should be on healthcare, creating this habits, good rituals around us that will keep us healthy most of the time, that will keep us away from this sickness. And just in case if we get sick, then we already have this system, isn't it? The other thing is our healthcare system, which I would like to call it a sick care system, is still largely bricks and mortar. Still, you have to visit a hospital, right? And of course, we have already discussed that when you are sick, you visit hospital, or someone is not well, then you take them to hospital. Now, what we find is that this whole design, right, as I told you, that it got matured back in the middle of last century, somewhere around 1950s. At that point of time, it got a bit matured, this healthcare system that we have, or sick care system that we have. But if you see and analyze the data or types of diseases that used to be there at that point of time, and types of diseases that we are encountering at present, we are, I think, at this moment, right, we are the biggest, you can say, numbers, or you can say majority of people are affected by some sort of chronic disease. May it be obesity, may it be heart diseases. It's become very common nowadays, cardiac arrest, and so many chronic diseases are there, non-communicable as well as communicable diseases. And the sad thing is that this healthcare system is not designed for, or the sick care system is not designed to tackle these challenges. 80% of all healthcare spend is on these chronic diseases. So we need to radically change the way things are going on. This is very important point for your examination as well. In mains examination, you find questions pertaining to healthcare system, because public health and all these things are part of you will be looking after this thing in future when you become civil servant. The future of the healthcare driven by an increasingly patient-centric approach, right? We will be, even nowadays we find in many countries, right, patients are connected constantly with doctors, or with the help of this technology, you can monitor your heartbeat. We have all these smart watches and everything that you have. It will give you graph of your heartbeat and how many miles you have walked and how many calories you have burned. These are all some basic things. You can add on more advanced things once you have all these sensors in your wrist or in other areas. If wearables, basically technological wearables that you can wear, just like watch or your mobile phone, and this will monitor your activities, and it will stop you if you are doing something wrong and things like that. So if you are too much on your couch, or you are too much on your bed or chair, then it will nudge you to take a brisk walk or stand up for 5-10 minutes and have a walk. Of course, we would be more, side effect would be that we would be too much dependent on this sort of technologies. But I believe that if we become a bit aware, then we can means if we take it positively, then this sort of gadgets, these wearables can be of great help as well. Anyways, we need to create this culture, and once we have this culture around us, once we see people around us are doing some sort of exercise, they are going out for walk and everything, then naturally we will copy each other, and it will become a new way of our life. You find this thing in big cities, particularly in developed countries. You find people going out for, running is very common thing in European countries. Even though the weather is very cold, you find people running on the street. When I say street, I mean to say this footpath, right? They go for run. So it motivates, right? It motivates many youngsters. It motivates many other people to do the same. So this is something that we can develop here. Now the other thing is, as far as this conditions are concerned, right, the things that we have in our healthcare system, we need to rope in our these patients, common man and women, right? We need to take them on board. It's not just about telling them what to do. This is a very basic, but more than that, they can monitor themselves, they can look after themselves, you can have do's and don'ts. We can use this technology, graphs and everything, and this is going to be a very common thing in next 10 years, that you can book your appointment. If you want to see a doctor, of course, you would require an expert to help you, to guide you. But you can seek this expertise online. You can book a good doctor that you feel he or she is good. And this doctor could be anywhere in the world. It's not necessary that you have to be in the same space at the same time. That person could be in Japan, and you could be living in India here, and you can consult that doctor over there. You can pay online, and everything can be done. And this will be the future. Your lab reports can be shared with the doctors directly. You can have this encrypted barcodes, and you can have this password protected items that you can share with your preferred doctor. You can have multiple doctors looking at your case, early diagnosis, and all these sort of things will become bit more easier with the help of these variables, and this will prevent many diseases as well. And beds will increasingly move out of hospitals. That means all this care that you get, right? I'm not talking about some severe or serious care that you get, but normal things, right? 2-day, 1-day bed rest and all this thing, bottles of different glucose and sodium and other things. You can take it at your home itself. We used to see this sort of things in old Hindi movies or Indian movies. When someone is not well, doctors used to visit home. Something similar will take place in future. You will have doctors on the go. Home services will be provided by doctors. And before closing down this discussion, I would like to share something that is coming from Charak Samhita. It talks about 4 ethical principles. The first one is friendship. Second is sympathy towards sick. Right, this one is the second one. The third one is interest in cases according to one's capabilities. And the third one is no attachment with the patient after his or her recovery. Sushruta Samhita adds a bit more thing. It tells that a patient may doubt his relative, but a patient gives himself or herself to his or her doctor, and it is a sort of duty of doctor to make sure that this trust is kept. And empathy and trust between doctor and patient was there in this time, in this era as well. In ancient time, it is something that is required today as well, and it will be there in the future too. We can have all this technology, but we have to work from both ends, from patients end and from doctor's end. We have to make sure that this empathy and trust between doctor and patient is becoming more and more solid, right? Technology will create or will bring some sort of challenges, but we have to make sure that all these things should promote this trust and empathy between doctors, which is one of the most important thing. With this, I have got a related items, a news item basically. A couple of important things that you find in today's paper, that 8 states and 4 union territories have signed MOUs with the Union Health Ministry to implement this government's National Health Protection Scheme. And one of the main aim here of this scheme, again I would like to remind all of you that it will provide a cover, insurance cover of 5 lakh rupees per family on annual basis, and the main aim here is to cover 10 crore vulnerable families. With this, dear friends, second item is pertaining to IAS, right? It will be very interesting for you guys why this particular item is important. First of all, every year you find one question in your mains examination pertaining to civil services and how you can improve it and things like that. And the second thing is in your interview, or rather the correct word is personality test. They ask you this question, why you want to join, and you can find a counter question like what are the changes that are required, etc, etc. Now I will give you a sort of brief overview about Indian bureaucracy. Indian bureaucracy will turn 160 years, right? It will celebrate, or it will clock 160 years in few weeks time. Now we are not celebrating it. When I say we, I mean to say it is not going to be a sort of official celebration around the country, right? It is one of the most sought, or you can say highly reputed job in our country. It is top of the range. It is elite service that most people would like to join, and we have seen the craze as well. There are lakhs and lakhs of students out there. They give everything they have, everything they can. They take all sorts of risks to join civil services. Now, one of the main reasons why we are not celebrating it is because in our country, I'm sure you have faced this thing, that particularly lower bureaucracy, which is in direct contact with the common citizens. You find that experiences with this lower bureaucracy is not that good, isn't it? They are not that positive or good experience that we cherish. It is more sort of terrifying experiences that we find, taking ages or many a times seeking bribe, not doing your job, rude answers, all these things. You get a full package when you interact with lower bureaucracy. I'm sorry if I'm hurting someone's sentiments, but this is a fact. There are so many people out there, they will vouch for what I'm saying here today. Now the thing is, if we go back in history, we find that the Government of India Act was implemented back in 1958, and earlier on the powers were in the hand of this private company called East India Company. But later on, all these powers were transferred to Queen Victoria's government, and later on to this Indian Civil Services or Indian Civil Servants. Today we know them as Indian Administrative Officers or Indian Administrative Service. What do we find even today after 160 years? That there is a bit of a change in shade, there is just a little bit of change in shade. Even today you find this sort of what do we say, the right word is Lord and the subject, right? The same sort of treatment when you visit some higher officers, like you are higher in rank, but you are higher in rank in this government, you are not above citizens. Citizens are there, and they are there, and you are supposed to look after citizens. Now, it may sound a bit romantic, or it may sound a bit, utopian, but seriously, if you visit some countries and you find there that you meet commissioner of police over there, you meet other equivalent IAS officers, equivalent or counterpart in different developed countries, and you find that they are so humble, they are so cordial, they don't mind, standing up and bringing tea for you if you visit there to their place. This is how they are. And in India today, I believe that this is something that this is my personal belief. This is something that we are seeking, particularly youngsters, right? We don't want to see this tantrums, and we don't want to. It looks very good, right? When an IS officer or an SP wearing this uniform stepping out of his or her car, and then you have some bodyguards and everything. It looks nice. It looks very good, no doubt, right? But that does not mean that if you have bodyguards, if you are a higher person in government, if you are in this higher ladder, that does not mean that you are lowered or you are above constitution. And this is something which is very sad. Now, if we go back in Mughal era, we find that something similar was going on at that point of time as well. If you have good connections, then you can get your job done. At that point of time as well, you were supposed to provide some sort of gifts to this higher bureaucrats, and only higher bureaucrats were able to interact with king. If you are in lower in rank, then you were not going to see king throughout your life. It was only top officials who were very close to king, and whatever word they used to pass used to get registered. So they were quite influential at that point of time. Even today we find something similar. Gifts are still, you can say, gifts have their own magical trick to get job done in our country. Lord Curzon, who came some 50 years after this mutiny, he said, or he linked this Indian bureaucracy to this elephant. He said that it looks very stately, it looks very dignified, but it is very slow in movement. Something similar has been observed by Ronald Reagan as well. He said that the 9 most terrifying words in English language is I am from the government and I am here to help. These are most terrifying words in English language as per Ronald Reagan. I'm sure you have got the message of what he's trying to tell us here. Same thing applies with Gandhiji, Indira Gandhi. They have said, or they have, said something similar to our, something similar about bureaucracy. They said that it's very expensive. Indira Gandhi has even said that it is going to be a stumbling block as far as our economic development is concerned, this IAS or this administrative services. This bureaucracy, basically. Bureaucracy, bureau is a French word for desk. So bureaucracy means ruling by desk, sitting on a desk and ruling the nation or society. And this is a very right word applicable even today. Bureaucrats have this extra power. Even today they have these powers, these outdated draconian powers that they can, without providing you a reason, they can ask you not to travel, they can ask you not, they can decide what you can eat and what you cannot eat in particular city, or drink, what you can drink, what you cannot drink, even your movements and everything can be controlled. So these are some of the draconian powers, and I'm sure now you have got many important insight on this, some of the negative items associated with administrative service, and it is very important that you should have this sort of negative views as well. With this reference, let's quickly go through some important news item. Mr. Modi is in China, right? Both the countries have decided to carry on this informal meetings, this Wuhan style meetings, and next year Xi Jinping will be here in India. We have signed an MOU that hydrological information of Brahmaputra will be shared by China with India. We are going to supply them non-basmati rice. As we are speaking now, as SCO meeting is on, we have decided that $100 billion trade will take place between both the countries by 2020, which is a good thing. The potential is even more than that. We have to cross 100 soon, and then 150, 200 and more and more. With this, Defense Minister of China will be here in our country. and SCO meeting is going on. You know, SCO inception or its birth took place in 2001. It's basically the main aim is to look after regional security is its top agenda, and India and Pakistan got entry last year, and we are going to talk about this growing challenge of terrorism. With this, dear friends, there is a zone, there is a national park, Banar National Park, which is under threat because of 73 eco-sensitive villages are in red list. What is red list all about? Red list comprises villages that are adjacent to the forest and are highly eco-sensitive. With this, we have talked about this export thing. After this introduction of GST, exporters faced a huge issue of refund. You have to claim your refund. So this is your money that is blocked with the government, and if you are not getting your money on time, then you have to borrow money from someone else, and then you have to pay interest on it, so your profits will come down. So this was something that was resisted by exporters, and any businessman would resist this thing. Businessman or businesswoman would resist this sort of thing. So now the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs have decided to clear this pending money or pending, or this refund will be given back to exporters during this special refund fortnight. And last few items, India has clarified that we have backed Maldives in United Nations. And if you are suffering from any sort of depression sort of thing, negative all these thoughts going on because of examination was not that good as you expected, then don't worry about it at all. You can give your tries, try your level best, do the best you can, but see, I'm not being negative here, but in case if you cannot clear any particular exam, that does not mean that you are useless. Don't think about it at all, right? You fail in something in life because somewhere else a big success is waiting for you. For that, you have to fail here to pass here. So always take it positively. Think about your parents, about your friends. Nowadays I have to share this sort of things because we find that many times youngsters, they take some path from which there is no comeback. So never ever think about this sort of things. And if you are suffering from anything like that, then speak this sort of things with your friends, or with your family members. There is nothing to be ashamed of if you are feeling a bit of depression, right? Anyone will feel the same thing if he or she will be in your place. So don't worry about it. Do share it, and there is always help out there. With this thunderstorm has sadly claimed life of 55 people in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. These are your answers, your questions. Thank you very much. Do check out StudyIQ.com, and don't forget to hit the like button and share this lecture. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your Sunday, and look after yourself. God bless you. Jai Hind.